The story opens with a kind and beautiful young woman named Tracy, who has just finished having lunch with her grandmother, Maggie. Tracy lost her parents in a car accident years ago, and since then, Maggie has lovingly raised her like a daughter. Now elderly and in declining health, Maggie wishes to see Tracy get married while she's still alive. Initially hesitant, Tracy brushes it off. But when Maggie's condition worsens, Tracy, out of love and concern, lies and says she's engaged. After lunch, she brings Maggie home and meets her assistant, Alan. Hearing the news, Maggie is thrilled and expresses her eagerness to meet Tracy's fiancé. Tracy, who manages Maggie's publishing house, confides in her close friend Shelley at work about the lie. Not knowing what else to do, she searches online for someone to play the role of her fiancé. That's when she comes across Rob, a charming man who works for a service called Rent a Groom, a company that helps people in such situations. Tracy chooses a new last name for Rob and asks him to act like an accountant. When she explains Maggie's heart condition, Rob becomes genuinely invested, especially after learning Maggie is his late mother's favorite author. Meanwhile, Todd, a coworker with feelings for Tracy, tries to stay in the picture, though his arrogance has already turned Tracy away. The next day, Rob and Tracy visit Maggie, and Rob spots a book his mother once cherished. This moment helps them bond, and Maggie quickly grows fond of him. Rob even adds a fictional backstory about meeting Tracy on a ski trip, but Tracy pulls him aside and gently reminds him to keep things simple. She only needs him to play the part, not write a romance novel. They then return to Maggie to say goodbye. The next morning, Tracy walks into the office only to be stunned. Her grandmother Maggie has already announced her engagement to the entire staff. To make matters more intense, Maggie has also planned a full engagement party and invited all of Tracy's coworkers. Taken aback, Tracy quickly confides in Shelley, admitting that she hired a fake fiancé just to make her grandmother happy. She explains the situation was meant only to protect Maggie's fragile heart, given her medical condition. That afternoon, Tracy and Rob talk about the upcoming party, which is set to be held at a restaurant called Halling. But Rob looks uneasy. He reveals he used to work at that restaurant and fears someone might recognize him. He gently asks Tracy to consider changing the venue. Later that evening, Rob arrives at Tracy's home to escort her to the event. Before leaving, he gives her an engagement ring, saying a friend lent it to him. At the restaurant, they find Maggie already waiting, glowing with excitement. She warmly greets them and proudly introduces Rob as Tracy's fiancé. When Tracy introduces him to Shelley, she's charmed by the ring and compliments how beautiful it looks. Not long after, Todd shows up, visibly unhappy about Tracy's engagement. He begins questioning Rob about his supposed job as an accountant, trying to catch inconsistencies. Sensing the tension, Rob smoothly diverts the conversation by sharing personal stories. How he's originally from Chicago, lost his mother young, and how his father started out as a waiter before running his own restaurant. As the party wraps up and guests begin leaving, Maggie suddenly suggests they all meet the next day to start planning the wedding. Tracy hesitates, but agrees when she sees the hope in her grandmother's eyes. The next morning, Rob shows up at Tracy's place earlier than expected, saying he wants to rehearse their story before seeing Maggie. They take a walk together, and during their conversation, Rob talks a bit about his career, mentioning how he once appeared on a TV show, though he only had 2 short lines. As they continue chatting, Rob asks Tracy about her life so he can better understand her and play the role of her fiancé more convincingly. Tracy opens up and shares that she lost both her parents at a young age. The grief left her angry and distant, but over time, her grandmother's love and support helped her heal. Hearing this, Rob opens up too, saying he lost his mother when he was just 9. He tells Tracy he's never tried to hide that pain and always speaks about it honestly. Later, the two arrive at the wedding venue. Maggie had chosen and meet a staff member named Claude. Maggie and Alan soon join them to look around and see if the place is right for the ceremony. While checking out the outdoor space, Maggie asks Rob and Tracy to pose in front of the altar for a photo. But right then, 2 women recognize Rob from his role as a mechanic in a TV series. On the drive back, Rob grows anxious when he sees a billboard with his face on it, part an old insurance ad. Thankfully, Tracy notices it too and quickly distracts Alan before he can see it. The next day, Tracy looks up Rob online and finds his biography. Realizing he was telling the truth, she feels a sense of relief. Seeing her reaction, Shelley gently hints that Tracy might be catching feelings for Rob, though Tracy still thinks it's all just part of the act. A few hours later, Rob stops by the office and invites Tracy to lunch. While they're eating, Rob shares that he's been offered a role in a new TV series. But since filming is in another city, he's unsure whether to take it. He asks Tracy to read the script and tell him what she thinks. When Tracy returns to work, Shelley excitedly reveals something shocking. Rob's father, Arthur, owns a chain of luxury restaurants across several major cities. That means Rob is actually the heir to a huge business empire. Later, when Rob drops by to give Tracy the script, she asks why he never told her about his background. Rob simply says that he doesn't want to live off his father's name or money. He wants to make his own way in the world, on his own terms. The next day, Maggie walks into Tracy's office with surprising news. She's already paid for the wedding venue and even arranged a rehearsal ceremony. Although Maggie feels a little guilty for planning it all without asking, Tracy agrees to go along, because deep down, she knows she's falling for Rob. When Tracy shares the rehearsal schedule with Rob, he also has news. He's just been cast in a lead role for a new TV series. But there's a problem. The costume fitting is on the same day as the rehearsal. After a moment of hesitation, Rob chooses Tracy. He tells her he'll postpone the fitting. She smiles, touched by his decision. That evening, Rob meets his father Arthur at a restaurant. It's been 3 years since they last spoke. Rob had chosen to live independently, never wanting to lean on his father's wealth. Arthur never forced him. He respected Rob's choice to chase his own dreams. During dinner, Rob opens up. He tells Arthur that he's in love and asks for his mother's ring so he can propose to Tracy. Meanwhile, across town, Todd is at a bar when he spots an old insurance ad featuring Rob. The bartender recognizes Rob too. Turns out Rob once pretended to be someone else's fiancé. Sensing trouble, Todd seems to get an idea. The next day, Rob goes to Maggie's office while calling Arthur to say he's ready to end the fake engagement, but only so he can propose for real. Unfortunately, Tracy overhears just part of the conversation and misunderstands everything. Her heart sinks, thinking Rob was never serious. The day of the rehearsal arrives. Rob comes to speak to her, but Tracy acts distant and cold. Rob is left confused, unsure what went wrong. Suddenly, Todd crashes the ceremony and reveals Rob's secret, that he was a hired fiancé all along. The moment is tense. With no choice left, Rob admits everything. He confesses that although it all began as a lie, he has genuinely fallen in love with Tracy and was planning to propose for real. After Tracy walks out, heartbroken, Rob goes to Maggie and apologizes. He also shares his true feelings, that his love for Tracy is real. Later, Tracy visits Maggie in the hospital. Maggie gently reveals that the ring Tracy's been wearing once belonged to Rob's late mother. She encourages Tracy to find Arthur and learn the full story. Tracy visits Hollink's restaurant and meets Arthur. She gives the ring back, but Arthur explains that Rob had taken it to propose to her. He even tells her about Rob's call to end the fake act with a real engagement. Realizing her mistake, Tracy returns to the hospital and tells Maggie everything. With her grandmother's blessing, she sets out to find Rob. And then, right outside, she runs into him. Rob tells her he's turned down the acting job. Looking straight in her eyes, he confesses, "I love you, Tracy." She smiles, and the two finally share the moment they've both been waiting for. A love story that began with a lie, ends with a promise. And that brings us to the end of today's story. So friends, what do you think? Can love truly bloom from a lie? Or does it need a foundation of honesty to thrive? Do you believe that Tracy and Rob's journey was one of fate? Or was it simply a series of unexpected turns? Reflect on these questions and share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also, hit the bell icon so you never miss any upcoming video. See you in the next one. Till then, stay healthy, stay safe,